Am I the butthole for making fun of a white girl for being poor because she was being racist? I'm Asian, more specifically one of the only Chinese people in my grade, which has been absolutely fun these days. So the girl in question has been racially harassing me since the beginning of lockdown, when she messaged and said, "Did the bat taste good? Thanks a lot, you effing freak." I reported her to my school, and they literally just dropped it because they said tensions were high, and she couldn't be blamed because her uncle had corona, some BS like that. Then I got repeated messages like that from fake/newly created accounts, that I suspect were from her, and I just kept blocking them until I guess she gave up because I wasn't reacting. My school district has chosen to do in person, massively dumb emo, but whatever. On the literal second day of school, she walks up to me while I'm in the lunch line and says in a thick Asian accent, "Are you eating bat dumpling or dog noodle?" Other people around me effing laughed, and I'm sure I don't have to explain this, but I felt effing humiliated. It finally felt like I got her off my back for a little while, and she comes back as soon as school starts, and I already know my school administration isn't going to go to bat for me. I don't know a lot about this girl, since obviously I try to avoid her, but I did know that she had crappy teeth, lived in a trailer, and was very poor. I'm ashamed to have stooped to this, but I just wanted to show her how I felt for once, so I said, "I'd be less concerned with what I'm eating if I were you, and more worried about your diet, since you're the one who needs to figure out how to brush her teeth in a trailer with no running water. Stop trying to get sent to a hospital when you can't afford healthcare." Other students nearby told me I went too far because it wasn't her fault she was poor like it was my fault I was Asian. She literally effing cried, like I didn't cry every time she called me a effing chink. She's left me alone ever since though, which doesn't matter since I plan on transferring anyways. NTA, backing down to bullies never works, you have to hit back or they never stop. Edit, holy cow. I have never received this amount of upvotes on a comment before. It's sad but true. Narcissists and other entitled people only respond to extremely firm boundaries and harsh consequences if they break them. She's young, so she may actually have learned something. Jesus, not every bully is a narcissist. Y'all just throw that word around. No, I don't. I'm writing a book about narcissism. I grew up with narcissistic parents and spent 13 years in narcissistic relationships. I have a very solid understanding of narcissism and entitledness. ETA, to make it super clear, the text below is copied from the linked comment. Because it's the best explanation of narcissism I've read in my life, and not everyone clicks links. But since it's you, don't rock the boat. I've been thinking about this phrase a lot lately, about how unfair it is. Because we aren't the ones rocking the boat. It's the crazy lady jumping up and down and running side to side. Not the one sitting in the corner quietly not giving a F. At some point in her youth, Mum/Mill gave the boat a little nudge. And look how everyone jumped to steady the boat. So she does it again, and again. Soon her family is in the habit of swaying to counteract the crazy. She moves left, they move right, balance is restored, temporarily. Life goes on. People move on to boats of their own. The boat rocker can't survive in a boat by herself. She's never had to face the consequences of her rocking. She'll tip over. So she finds an enabler, someone so proud of his boat steadying skills that he secretly, or not so secretly, lives for the rocking. The boat rocker escalates. The boat steadier can't manage alone, but can't let the boat tip. After all, he's the best boat steadier ever, and that can't be true if his boat capsizes, so therefore his boat can't capsize. How can they fix the situation? Ballast. And the next generation of boat steadiers is born. A born boat steadier doesn't know what solid ground feels like. He's so used to the constant swaying that anything else feels wrong and he'll fall over. There's a good chance the boat rocker never taught him to swim either. He'll jump at the slightest twitch like his life depends on it, because it did. When you're in their boat, you're expected to help steady it. When you decline, the other boat steadiers get resentful. Look at you, just sitting there while they do all the work. They don't see that you aren't the one making the boat rock. They might not even see the life rafts available for them to get out. All they know is that the boat can't be allowed to tip, and you're not helping. Now you and your DH get a boat of your own. With him not there, the balance of the boat changes. The remaining boat steadiers have to work even harder. While a rocking boat is most concerning to those inside, it does cause ripples. The nearby boats start to worry. They're getting splashed. Somebody do something. So the flying monkeys are dispatched. Can't you and DH see how much better it is for everyone else if you just get back on the boat and keep it steady? It would make their lives so much easier. You know what would be easier? If they all just chucked the bitch overboard. Oh, and by the way, most boat rockers are men. Edited spelling, web link. When you're a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. Do you have a psychology degree? Yay, narcissist, isn't this kid most likely? It sounds like she is scared of COVID and there being a lot of things she can't control. She's looking for someone to blame and take her hurt out on because it's easier than the actual situation. Doesn't excuse it. Just explains it. The school should have disciplined her the first time she harassed Op. Racism is not a valid path to take. Because they can copy and paste? Since it's you, make sure you get a good editor. You need to improve your spelling and grammar if you're seriously writing a book. Since. Not since. In your experience, most boat rockers are men. As a boat steadier, my experience has been quite the opposite. I think most men would agree. Life is all about perception, though. It runs in families as generational trauma, so in my family they're men, as well as all my other friends that grew up as ballast. But I know of plenty women who are boat rockers, including my former mother-in-law. Since we live in a patriarchal culture, naturally more men are boat rockers. Women are literally trained by culture to coddle the emotions of men. We do it because some men are dangerous, and it doesn't show on the outside. Again, that doesn't mean women can't be boat rockers, I mean just normal is dedicated to them. Anybody who are allowed to rock the boat will become a boat rocker. I'm really sorry you were in that situation. I hope you left the boat and got therapy to learn some healthier boundaries. Hugs from a reformed boat steadier. AITA. The thing about being ballast is it's very difficult to unlearn boat steadying. I've spent my entire adult life trying to find solid ground. Reddit link. There is a scale of narcissism, though, and many school bullies exhibit these traits. However, as children, they're not officially diagnosable as narcissists in the way that adults are. Not all racists/bullies are narcissistic. There's such a thing as just being mean and sadistic. It's true. But most true sadists exhibit narcissistic traits. You can be narcissistic and not have NPD, the terms are used differently based on context. Yep, most bullies grow out of it and often feel bad about it once they are adults, which does not justify any of their actions, which should be taken seriously by school and appropriate consequences should be suffered. Most children exhibit narcissistic traits to some degree. The problem is when these traits are not outgrown. Everyone is a narcissist if you read the sub often enough. I agree with this. I've seen it and experienced it. Sometimes these harsh reactions to a bully's initial action can be the turning point for them. They wake up and realize that words can effing hurt. It's a realization many people need and don't always get the opportunity. Yep, poor person with bad teeth here. Racist had it coming, who cares if it was rude? Older Asians nowadays are so thankful when people aren't rude or racist to them, that's effing sad. You stood up to her and IT worked, well for you. NTA. Your comment is my favorite, to be honest. Also poor with pretty bad teeth. Sadly, mostly because it's hereditary and my whole life I've had to have teeth filled and refilled, but being an adult sucks and I can't even afford my rent sometimes. I wouldn't even dream of going to the dentist, lol. Life story aside, as a fellow poor person with bad teeth I 100% endorse this comment. PSST. I get full pass then. I'm Asian and I have crap teeth. Becky got what she deserved. I would have kept on. Gave that racist bitch something to cry about. Yup. Like all bullies and racists, she's acting superior because she feels wildly inferior. She is mediocre, pathetic, and terrified of being ostracized, so she tries to make you the outsider before anyone can oust her. Race is the one thing she can cling to, and you were right to shut that down. Adults should have dealt with this, but you handled yourself well. You struck the nerve that she was desperately trying to cover up. It's not her fault that she's poor, but I know a lot of poor people who manage not to be gross racist buttholes. She saw you as an easy target and you proved her wrong. Absolutely. My dad used to tell me that if a bully hit me, I was to hit them back harder and then go tell a teacher what had happened. If they didn't like that, they could contact my dad who would have my back. It's exactly the same with verbal bullying. You are absolutely NTA. I am a woman who was bullied by a kid in the 4th grade. He really pushed me to my limits one day and I was enraged. Meet me after school, I told him. The whole school practically showed up to witness me kicking his ass. I got a fat lip, but he never ever bothered me again. I never want a kid to have to deal with bullying. Violence isn't the answer, but I didn't have the maturity to process those strong emotions. Just like the kid who bullies and can't handle their terrible home life and acts out. I feel bad for the kids who internalize being bullied. They suffer so much. How can you? Violence isn't the answer when the one time you reacted violently he backed off laughing out loud. Having adults intervene, therapy, and mindfulness are much better options. The kid who bullied me, I found out later, had a really effed up home life. We ended up being on good terms in the following years. What does him having a messed up home life and you being on good terms have to do with anything? If you didn't stand up for yourself, would he have stopped anytime soon? The vast majority of times the answer would be no. If he continued bullying you for multiple more years, would you have ended up on good terms? Can't say for sure, but most likely not. So even the fact that you ended up on good terms probably came from the fact you stood up for yourself and got him to stop. NTA, damn, that was a burn. Call the trauma unit. OMG, that was good, girl. Good for you. If someone is going to bully you and humiliate you like that, everything is in bounds. There is no out of bounds for bullies, so not for you. No, she can't afford it. NTA, you did great. Taste of their own medicine, fair play. NTA, in my opinion. I was made fun of for being gay as a kid, and developed a sharp tongue by way of defense. I would often get in trouble for making kids cry, even though I was defending just myself. Just be careful how you hurt people and recognize that you have power and yield it with responsibility. Not to be a jerk, but this is probably the case with Trailer Park Girl as well. She makes fun of others because she has gotten made fun of. Happy and secure people don't bully others. I don't care that original post did that though, sometimes you have to stand up for yourself. Nah, I don't think the Trailer Park Girl is making fun of others, her behaviors are unacceptable and racist. Making fun of others is an unacceptable thing to do, whether racist or not. Racism is just one way of making fun of others. It's not even the worst. You could make fun of someone because their sibling died or because their parents are drug addicts. Nah. I hate the narrative that those who experience racism are supposed to gently confront someone if they are faced with the most blatant vitriol. In the world we live in, sometimes fighting fire with fire works enough to get someone off of your case. I think the person's point was that there are things that can be more individually hurtful than race when it comes to bullying. For example, as a gay person, I'm obviously sensitive to homophobia and was bullied a lot as an adolescent over it. However, there's a certain laziness to generic bigotry that, when employed by idiot children, doesn't cut as deep as it could because you know it's just an emotionally undeveloped child parroting society's worst assumptions about gay people. On the other hand, I had a classmate whose mother was a substitute teacher for our study hall a few times, and other students would relentlessly mock this classmate of mine for her mother's appearance and weight and mannerisms. I've never seen someone so affected by bullying before or since. This girl was in tears daily and couldn't escape the torment of all of these bullies. And I think a big part of this reaction was the fact that she was so completely alone as the victim, that the comments were so targeted and specific and hateful that there was no doubt that these bullies put real effort into hurting her. And that's not to say that homophobia isn't a bigger problem in America than whatever you'd call my classmates' bullying experience, but people's life experiences are individualized, and the trauma this girl went through is something I would never trade out my experience for. Racism is just one way of making fun of others. It's not even the worst. Thoughtful face. Agree. I apologize if my comment gives readers the impression that other forms of bully are not as serious as racism. All bullies are unacceptable. Me myself is also an Asian, and have been getting an increasing amount of comments on being an Asian, especially after the COVID-19. I think that's part of the reason I'm sensitive towards racism against all races. But again, I agree. Your opinion? Well, it's one thing to defend yourself as a reaction to bullying, as Just Go Lightly and also the original post did. But it's another thing if you actively start to bully others who didn't do anything to you, just to make yourself feel better about your own crappy life. Your own misery isn't an excuse to make others feel miserable. It's not okay to bully. It's one thing to throw back a barb at someone who is going after you, and another to just attack someone because you're a racist jerk. Sounds like she went after this guy unprovoked. You might have a sharp tongue to defend yourself, but I bet you don't just randomly attack people. She learned that it's possible to get as good as you give. Valuable lesson this girl needed. I'm also horrified, but not shocked. The school gave this girl a pass. That shouldn't have been waved off. Racism, homophobia, and sexism are just not taken seriously enough. Trailer trash girl is just an ignorant racist. That's completely different. The trailer park girl wasn't defending herself. She was harassing someone who was minding their business because she saw an easy target. No, sometimes people are jerks by nature. Sometimes it's a circle of friends influence, sometimes a bet, but mostly it's just because they got raised in a way that being a jerk makes them feel good or is rewarded by parents, siblings, environment. Otherwise, how will you explain a guy bullying me and encouraging others in my class to bully me, just because I once said I'm interested in Japanese culture? All because I had different interests than others, they made me their bullying target. You don't have to have a reason to be a bully, no need to redirect bullying of others to another person. You can be a bully just because you feel like it. Whenever you type something like "not to be a jerk" or "I'm not racist" or anything but, you should really ask yourself why you are typing those words. I'm guessing this girl was crying because she is poor and stupid. Her insults were along the lines of Asians eating dogs, haha, get it, while he gave her an actual burn that was 100x worse. Your last sentence answered your own question. It apparently worked, so who cares? Burning bridges on your way out can be fun. When I was in middle school, I moved multiple states away. The day before my last day was supposed to be, I stood up to one of the school bullies by getting into a fight with him. I didn't beat his ass or anything satisfying like that, but I got in enough punches to the face to give him a black eye and a busted lip. Needless to say, I was pulled to the office and suspended for a week. Well, the next day I came in to give all my books back, and I was treated like a effing hero by the students I passed in the hall because he got suspended too. Where I transferred had a week-long vacation the week I got there, and my suspension didn't carry over. All in all, a fun story. Good for you. I got to say, the school admins are so useless. I feel like all they do is ignoring kids being bullied and punishing the ones who stand up for themselves. Schools suck. Yeah. My parents said I would only be in trouble with them if I hit first. Well, he threw a basketball at my face, and that was that, laughing out loud. That was my parents' rule too, and my mom always said I better not start a fight, but if I'm in one, I better be the one that ends it. That's exactly what I heard too. I've been suspended 3 times for fighting, none of which I started, and none of which I was in trouble with my parents for. They were essentially little vacations with some extra homework. Thank you for watching. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. We welcome your comments below. Another of our videos will begin shortly.